Shadows of the Damned is perfect in every way. There's nothing wrong with it that I can think of, except for all of the things that I can think of that's wrong with it. So let's talk about those things, shall we? Now, I maintain that Grasshopper did their very best to make lemonade with all the demands put in place by EA. It is a fun ride all throughout. Stepping away from my love for the game for a minute and looking at what remained, I thought I'd take some time out and share some theories as to what was cut to finish the game, or some of the more nitpicky things that just stuck out to me. I still feel that many elements of Shadows were just painted on top of existing assets of Kurayami.
You know, this is Suda 51's version of Hell, which is kind of a demon city that kind of looks like old Eastern European.
Almost every asset in the game looks pinned onto Kurayami's corpse. Nothing looks consistent. Nothing makes sense. Just take a look around. Bloody meat walls, corpses strewn all about, and then we have billboards of demon hookers with pussy portals. I can't decide if the game wants me to laugh or cower in terror most times. This constant shift in tone is just unnerving. It's like the game doesn't know what it wants to be. It's just really hard to buy into the whole romance storyline when we're introduced to Paula several times throughout the game, and then she's killed, and then she's alive again, and then she's killed, and then she's alive again, and then she's killed, and then she's alive again, and then she's killed, and then she's alive again.
Garcia?
Onion?
I found you at last. My love, I want to hold you.
Paula! Garcia, stay back! Fuck you! Shadows of the damned, I'll destroy with light.
And spoiler alert, she's also the final boss. And then you fall in love with her again. Oh, and then she tries to kill you.
Here we go again.
Now, I've already mentioned all the highlighted doorways that they implemented to guide the player around by the hand, but I forgot to emphasize how often this occurs in Shadows. Some of the maps look like a child's first Garry's Mod creation, with all the highlighted boxes and barrels littering the field. I just wish they would give it a rest for a minute. There's no reason to backseat game me all the way through. I mean, once something's established, you shouldn't have to reintroduce these concepts up until the final bits of the game. Shoot the goat head, I get it, I've done it 100 times by now. As a result of all this shiny stuff on the field and crying baby doors, the atmosphere just feels compromised. And I never feel like I have time to take in all the details that were put into Shadows. Hey look, a hidden door. I'll shoot it. Oh, boxes. Shoot them. It's just some machine gun ammo. Oh, there's a portrait up there. I bet somebody spent weeks on it, but I wonder if there's any more boxes. Another little odd quirk I notice is that for some reason you can't skip cutscenes at all, which can be a problem for multiple playthroughs, and I'm one of those guys who did. I don't know if this is a common bug, but when I was mashing the start button in the opening prologue trying to skip the opening cutscene, it froze the game. I had to hard reboot my Xbox to get things running again, and then watch the cutscene all over. We're introduced to a shirtless Garcia that's having a heated exchange with this goat demon down here. The demon vows to get his revenge and that he'll quickly be replaced by another.
Kill me, and I shall be replaced by another, and another, and another still.
But this is the last time we see him. This looks like a very detailed character model for just one short scene. Was Garcia meant to see him again? Was he some sort of cut boss fight? And don't accidentally mistake Otaclaws here for George's demon form. They're two entirely separate demons. The first time you gain control of Garcia is in his apartment hallway. It's the only time where he's shirtless, much like the Kurayami concept. His character model has detailed tattoos that give an occultic darker side to Garcia that's sadly never explored because they are covered up for the rest of the game. Perhaps this was due to another mechanic that was cut out last minute? You see, Garcia was initially planned to transform into some sort of demon at one point in development. I'm not sure if it was in a Devil Trigger fashion or story-centric, but I would have welcomed this design. It looks pretty cool. This segment is also home to one of the worst camera angles and cuts I've ever seen. Look at that neck. Overall, I really enjoyed the cozy atmosphere of Garcia's apartment. It's one of the sparse moments where we get a glimpse into the demon hunter's life. Shadows has a lot of neat little set pieces spread throughout the game like this, which compels me to wonder what's up with all his set dressing if it's not going to lead to anything. One of the most basic issues I have with this game are the controls. The aim is mapped to the L1 and shoot to R1 on the PS3, and you cannot remap the controls. Strangely, it's mapped differently on the Xbox 360 version, wherein the left trigger is aim and the right trigger is fire. That feels like a natural layout to me, and I wonder why this difference exists between the systems at all. Another odd thing that they included in the game is a bullet cam that sometimes happens whenever you get a headshot, and sometimes it won't. For whatever reason, it triggered more frequently for me on the 360 version, but that may be a result of better controls. I'm still not sure. We meet Fleming, which is our central antagonist, and here's our love triangle for the rest of the game. Oddly enough, Suda based the structure of the romantic plot around Super Mario Brothers, and I guess in this situation, Fleming represents Bowser, and he refers to Paula as
You see, the little peach is coming on to me.
Fleming is a big guy with a bow staff that's probably made out of a demon penis or something, I don't know. They don't really explain anything about him other than he's the Lord of the Demons, so I guess we gotta fight him. Garcia shoots him with a light shot. Fleming flies out the window and lands into one of the many portals that you'll be seeing throughout the rest of the game. Garcia grabs his jacket, covers up those cool tattoos, and he ends up on a highway, and we're introduced to Johnson. Garcia throws Johnson and turns him into the Johnson Cycle, which has such a cool design that's also wasted for the rest of the game. Was the Johnson Cycle another case of presumably cut content? Did Grasshopper have plans to incorporate a motorcycle chase sequence? I mean, you can even see Garcia squash a few demons here and there as he rides on. Why bother having Garcia drive to the underworld gate when he can just place a portal? Just another tease without a payoff, unfortunately. Also, what's up with the music in the PS3 version sounding like it was recorded inside of a tin can? It sounds terribly compressed, and this is especially noticeable if you play with headphones like I do. To my knowledge, this issue only exists on the PS3 version. The Xbox 360 version sounds studio quality. So what's the reason for this compression? The PS3 version comes on a Blu-ray disc and is entirely capable of holding uncompressed audio. Just look at Metal Gear Solid 4, half the game is installing those audio files. There's just no excuse for this, and it's a big slap in the face to Akira's masterful composition.
Still
'cause I'm broken when I'm lonesome, and I don't feel right when you're gone away.
So pretty much the game follows the same formula. Kill demons, shoot sources of light with your light shot, find keys to open gates, and fight a boss. It works just fine and is very enjoyable. Though the puzzle solving elements are few and far between, I truly enjoy the light and dark gameplay mechanics, only I wish they would have developed them a tad more. I have a bit of an issue with the RPG mechanics, and I'll give you a quick rundown why. In Shadows, you can find red gems, or you can purchase red gems from Christopher for white gems. Red gems are the hidden objects in this game, and they're used to upgrade Garcia. The upgrading paths are bare bones and lacking variety. Shit, even Open Season had a more developed tree than this. You only get to improve minor attributes like health, reloading speed, or ammo capacity, stuff like that. But you don't get any new abilities that change up your gameplay style or modify Garcia's appearance like in the Kurayami pitch. Unfortunately, all the weapons you receive are forced upon the player in a linear fashion right after you find a blue gem, usually after a boss fight. You're given no say in this matter. You can't find any additional weapons beyond the handgun, machine gun, shotgun, and the torch. There's no hidden weapons, post-game unlockables, or secrets to find beyond the red gems. There's not even an ultimate weapon that you get like the rocket launcher from Resident Evil. Most of the fun found in Resident Evil 4 was trading gold with the mysterious merchant and choosing from a variety of different guns per game session. There are choices to make between the style of handgun, shotgun, TMP, or sniper rifle that players can make to match their playstyle. You're only given a finite amount of money and space, so you make a choice on what to keep or what to forego this time around. You can even forego all guns and do an egg-only playthrough if you want to. I did. The freedom of choice in Resident Evil 4 is what makes that game timeless and why Shadows of the Damned feels like the same experience each subsequent time through. Maybe these limitations were put into place due to the gun acting as a Swiss Army knife that's used to solve most of the puzzles in Shadows. Affording the players too much freedom could potentially interfere with the extremely rigid structure of the game, and nobody wants that, right?
You know, the content is really crazy. I mean,
as I've mentioned, this is the first time these developers ever worked in the Unreal Engine, and oh boy does it show. I encountered so many moments where the game would randomly bug out and I just got an instant death for standing in the wrong area with no indication that it was the wrong area. And the exact opposite scenario happened where I was given unlimited health and Garcia just stood there taking it until I turned off the console. Not to mention the texture pop-in. After texture pop-in, oh hi Garcia. My absolute biggest gripe with the game are the boss fights. Throughout the game, you encounter what they call the VIP demons, all of which have fairly disturbing backstories that Garcia can read about.
Why don't you go jack off to some bird porn? I bet you do more fapping than flapping.
It's established early on that each of the VIPs have a human form and a beast form. The first example of this is George Reed. You fight his human form first, and then a couple of stages later, he eats his own heart, which turns him into a full-on demon. Out of all the boss fights, his feels the most complete to me. Then you fight one of the three Sisters Grimm. I've got no problems with these fights. They're quite fun and they build off of one another. Moving on. Then comes the introduction to Elliot Thomas, who's also known as the Stinky Crow, which is possibly the most annoying build-up to a fight, but before you get the chance to shut him up on your own, he's murdered by a throwaway character named Colonel, or X. Colonel X is a bounty hunter that's seeking revenge for the murder of his wife. And that's it, because he's killed shortly thereafter by Elliot, and he's never mentioned again. Was there supposed to be more to Colonel X in the original game? They set up his whole story in the very beginning of the game and then they just kill him off shortly after meeting him. Was Colonel X intended to be a boss fight or a potential companion? Guess we'll never know. Maybe Elliot's human fight was cut out entirely to serve up this brief introduction and conclusion of Colonel X's storyline. How fun, I would have rather fought him myself, but okay. The most egregious example found in the game is Justine. She's introduced in the first stage stage of the game. She's singing opera, shattering windows, causing earthquakes. She looks like she poses a true threat. All throughout, you see her dancing around or flying around on rocket boots. Out of all the VIPs, they spend more time teasing Justine's fight, more so than any other enemy in the game, including Fleming. Once further, we are not given a proper Justine human fight, but instead we square off against a giant barfing paper Justine, which sounds good on paper. Once again, why spend all that time building up jetpack boots and earthquakes caused by her opera singing if you never intended on it going anywhere? It's my theory that the village cathedral was going to be the battleground for the Justine fight. You fight your way through this village, gathering all these keys, watching Justine carry away Paula, and when you show up and you think you're going to face off against her, she tongue fucks you and escapes through the back door. Women, am I right? Not to mention how literally everything is wrong with her backstory in this fictional game because of my feelings. Looks like it's time for another game in Seahorse. Bet you didn't think I'd show up in this video. Well, today's topic is about fat women in games and...
Shadows of the Damned literally does everything wrong you could possibly do.
Oh, it's a fat guy. Talking about your low-hanging fruit. I'm just gonna float away from this one. Too easy. Bye. Now, I have reason to believe that they had planned for more varieties of demons than what we were given. What we were given was fine, but I would have liked to see some of the stuff they had already finished implemented into the gameplay. Take, for instance, these flying demons that we see in the final cutscene. This is a real-time render like all of the cutscenes in the game, so in that sense, the flying demons were already completed. Why not use them? I just wish that Grasshopper would have considered using some of those animal hybrid demons that Silent Hill designer Masahiro Ito had created for the game. This guy looks so cool and I don't even get to fight him. Nitpicking aside, I think there are some truly clever concepts in the game that I wish they were given more time to expand upon. If we ever would have gotten that Akira Yamaoka Wet Dream sequel that we were promised for a minute, I would have bought it on day one. Sadly, for many gamers, there's just no reason to go back and revisit Shadows of the Damned. There's no post-game content with the exception of unlocking a harder mode. There's no additional weapons, costumes. You can't even carry over any of your gems from your previous playthrough, and you can't revisit any previous chapters in like a chapter select. These are very basic things that have been around forever. It's a crying shame what happened here, because Shadows was generally loved by the people who gave it a chance, myself included. EA failed to market this game to the mainstream audience they were so desperately chasing. There was no commercials on TV giving the layman any idea of its existence, or even a basic demo available for people to try out on their own. As a result, Shadows only sold a paltry 24,000 copies in the first month of release. Wow, dude, way to go. So what have we learned here? All of the attempts to stifle new innovations in the medium of gaming by replacing them with guns were for nothing. Instead of opting to utilize the talent they had hired to their fullest artistic capabilities to make a new contribution to the medium, they pigeonholed Suda at financial gunpoint into making a product to appeal to a mass market that was never going to buy it in the first place. Shadows of the Damned, the Untold story, unfortunately, is a tale as old as time.